So I want to go back to something, a subject that I didn't talk a lot about. And the reason I didn't mention it much, even though it played out all throughout my life, is because of the subject matter. I wanted to make sure, I didn't want to just mention it in a couple of sentences and then not explain all of it because, some people would be like, what the heck? So the subject of aliens is what I want to talk about. And like I said, I didn't want to just mention different things that had happened throughout my life because it would have been confusing. So I wanted to keep it all, the subject all together to explain it. I never ever understood how someone could actually not believe in aliens. I guess I'm the opposite of some people. And the reason is because we're this expansive universe. We have all these planets and all these places, and it would be really weird to think we're the only life force, right? I mean, there's got to be life on other planets. Just because you haven't seen it doesn't mean it's not there. But that would just be strange for that not to be the case. And plus, I look at it like this. On Earth, we have all different species here. We have humans and cats and dogs and all these different animals and all these beings in the ocean. And there's just so many species of life. And so, like I said, I've always found it strange that somebody would say, oh, I don't believe in aliens. I'm like, well, we kind of are aliens. We're a combination of that, but I'll explain all of that so I don't want anybody to feel uncomfortable. I actually invite you to stick around and let me just share what I've learned. I think knowledge is power, and I think when we learn things, we should share them with each other. I say this all the time. If anybody ever teaches you something, and I don't care who it is, anyone, and they teach you something in a fear-based way, I think you should question it. That's just an opinion. I mean, you can do what you want, but I really think we should all be questioning that. Look, that includes me. Question me. You don't have to automatically believe what I say. We're all on this journey together, but we're at different phases of our journey. So some people's beliefs, are limited to we're the only species, there's no aliens, there's no whatever, and that's just where they are. I'm not here to judge anyone and say, well, you're crazy for thinking that. That's not why I'm here. I'm just saying that I think knowledge is power. And I also say this, take what you need and leave the rest. If there's anything I say that doesn't resonate, leave it. Some people are not ready to hear about it, but this is part of my journey. It's part of my life. And so I'm choosing to share it. I'm not withholding this. Even though it's uncomfortable for some, it's not for me because it's part of who I am. From a young age, I had experiences that happened that didn't make sense. And I'm going to be very open and blunt. Well, I don't want to say blunt, but very open and honest about how all of this works and what I've been taught. And if you choose to believe, fine. If not, I'm perfectly fine with that. So I had different things that happened to me from a young age, things that didn't make sense. I even had a conversation with my dad not that long ago, because we lived near the military base. And I always said, Dad, do you ever remember some of the people you worked with, like bringing me to school? Like, did you and Mom let that happen? And he just looked at me and he said, no. I was like, yeah. Do you remember the white van? And he said, no. And I discussed it with him, and I said, well, I had memories that have come to me of being in this van, and it was me and two other kids most of the time. They would bring us to the base. It was familiar. We'd been there many times. And you know how I said earlier, 10 years from now, you won't remember exactly what somebody said to you, but you will remember how you felt. And what I felt was I was being studied. That's how I felt. And so let me say this first, though. What these I want to call them super terrestrials. Alien just, I don't know, it feels weird. Super terrestrial. Let's just call them aliens, okay? What they do is when they study people, they use their eyes and they have the ability to trance someone with their eyes. And then after they do whatever they do, then they wipe their memory. Now, from what I understand, by doing readings, I've learned from some people who have adult children, right, in the military, that they have been through this procedure of the procedure of wiping the memory. So that's not a new thing. But that's what I felt like was happening. But then all of a sudden, I started having a lot of my memory come back. And I'm not the only one. There's been other people who have had the same experience. I wondered, what is this? Is this some anomaly? Actually, I think it's happening on purpose. And so I had memory coming back to me. But this has happened, y'all, my entire life. I did an interview with MUFON. It's on my YouTube channel. I think some of you have heard it. But I did an interview with MUFON not long ago. MUFON is they're the big wigs. They're the ones that are all over Travel Channel, Discovery Channel, all of that, they're the ones, they have scientists and doctors and all, but they're the UFO specialist, right, and abductee specialist. And they studied my case, they reviewed it, they reviewed all of my pictures, and they authenticated them all as being legit, and they also said they rated my case at the highest level, meaning that they find it legit. But I did an interview with somebody not that long ago and shared my story about a couple of events that happened and what these beings, super terrestrials is what I call them, what they taught me. But I didn't go into great detail, and I will go into more detail here. So, but like I said, I feel like this has been happening to me my whole life. I've learned a lot from them. When things really started fully coming back to me was around 2016 and through 2017. And it's like I got all my memory back. And it was weird. Can I say I was scared? Not really. I think because it had happened so many times, it became familiar. But what I learned was there was an agreement that was made with different governments across the world, really, that they would get technology, they would have access to technology, advanced technology, in exchange for studying some humans. And the governments agreed to it. Of course they did, right? So they had access to this technology. They kept it from the common folk like us. And then all of a sudden, these different ET groups, let's just call them ET groups started studying humans. Think of it like this, though. It's kind of like if someone tags a bear in Alaska to track its movements and its behavior and blah, 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 right? That's kind of how they look at it. They're studying us. They're really, really interested in people who are empathic and people like me. I'm a medium. Well, if I was an ET, I'd want to study me too. But it's, everything about my life has been weird. It's not weird to me. It's my life. But, out of the common norm of what society says is normal. And so, I think I would be a great test subject. But I know that that's been something they've been doing for a while. I also deeply believe, I've been shown that pretty much everybody on Earth is an alien, basically. And what I mean by that is we're all a combination of different DNA. It's like we're all test subjects to some degree. And I also want to say this, everybody's soul agreed to this. Before you were born, you knew the terms and conditions of Earth, and you said, hell yeah, let me in. So we all knew this. We all knew that that's what was going on, and we agreed to it. And then we get here, and of course, we forget everything. And then everybody thinks aliens are bad, and they think all this is happening to us, and you're an abductee, and it's horrible. Well, no, our souls agree to certain things, and even though it's uncomfortable at times, I'm not complaining about it. This is just my life. If I complained about it, I wouldn't be happy. So this started when I was a child. And what I was shown years ago is that when someone's born, they have an energy signature, right? So you have your physical body and you have the energy body, the aura around the body, the chakra system, and the meridians, and there's an energy signature. Well, this advanced technology with these advanced level beings have a way of reading an energy signature. So they know from the get-go, from when you're born, what type of energy signature you have. And so for me, for example, being a medium, that's in my energy signature. They knew it. So of course they're going to want to test me and study, right? And so, and there's more to it. I'll get to that in a minute. But do they randomly pick people? Sometimes they have, but not always. Sometimes it is opportunistic if they're traveling in a UFO, rolling through a field, out in the woods, and you happen to be there, then yeah, they could have abducted you. But they're not doing these physical abductions as much anymore. I'm going to start another recording.